Hi, Kriegsspielers. It's Umpire LaFondios. We're going to talk today about an idea that brings several concepts we've covered on the channel together into one, and that's reacting with power. There's a story about Ty Cobb. He was a legendary American baseball player, and he was excellent at stealing bases. And what that means, if you don't know baseball very well, is you run quickly to the base and you slide in there to advance yourself in the game. And Cobb was legendary for his slides. And one reporter met with him and he said that he had analyzed all of his slides for the last 20 to 30 games. And he said, you have 10 different styles. How do you decide which one you're going to use as you run down the baseline? And Cobb replied, I just slide. And that's an excellent example of someone who's at the top of his game, who's at the very pinnacle of his craft, taking all of his experience and practice and not thinking, just doing. And I think that's where we want to get with Kriegsspiel and all of these concepts and ideas. So we want to be able to react with power regardless of period. Reacting with power is the equivalent of Ty Cobb's slide. We tend to like to think through all of our options and think through all of our moves, but in reality we are presented with a resolution of a turn. We have to give orders. Many times it's just a reaction, and like the chess master who's asked why he made that one move during a game, and he responds, it's just was the right move to make. And so I think as a Kriegsspiel player, you want to get yourself to the point where you're presented with a situation and you just make the right move. Now, you don't do it intuitively based on no information, you do it through conscious practice, whether you're a Roman legionary, a Napoleonic commander, or a tank commander in a modern scenario. So we have many periods in Kriegsspiel. You want to be able to react with power in all of them appropriate to that period. So here's an example of someone reacting to power. It's close to the American Civil War period. He's a commander that's in the yellow circle, and he was keeping some of the red forces at bay through a combination of harassment and battle there. And his goal was to keep those red forces from coming south of the river. He had reserves in the purple circle, and I was the umpire, and I reminded him, don't forget you have your reserves. And he said, my mission is to keep them north of the river. I have sufficient forces to do that. I will leave the reserve in place to deal with future eventualities. An excellent reaction of power, even though it was just an exchange with the umpire. But presented with a question of what to do, he had a clear sense of the right move. The concepts that we've covered so far in the channel on other videos, there's 6 of the big ones that I want to just highlight, and we'll try to weave them in to a way that we react with power. So center of gravity is that idea that you have elements of what your forces and your communication, your planning do to make sure that you move powerfully, as does the enemy. You want to defend yours and attack theirs. The OODA loop is your reaction to situations, so reacting with power. It's usually focused on how you orient to it. 3 levels of command. You contribute to the situation differently, whether you're the CIC, the brigade commander, or the battalion commander. In real militaries, you sit at one level for a while. You're a platoon leader for a while, then a company commander, and then eventually, if you're doing well, you're a division commander. In that case, you just know the way that you contribute to the command based on your level. In Kriegsspiel, much different. You can be a brigade commander one day, a division commander the day after that, and then come back a week later and be a platoon commander. So you have to really reset your level of command appropriate to the game, and then of course adjust that for the period. So that's what makes it a lot of fun. Task organizing, we tend to get our orders of battle in types of units. So all the tanks are in this group, all the infantry in that group, artillery in another. Really what works out in the Kriegsspiel on the real world in the battlefield and on a Kriegsspiel board is combined arms units. So we have to really think about ways to making combined arms units that make sense. Areas of operation help us move around the battlefield in a way that is clear and understandable. Finally, commander's intent, the use of the phrase in order to. So this is an eye chart, but the idea is you could play Kriegsspiel for 10,000 hours and then just know the right moves. And if you have 10,000 hours, you want to do it that way, you can. Another way to do it is to consciously practice what you see here on this board. And that is that there are 3 levels, and we'll start at the bottom and work our way up. At the battalion level, you want to work on how to react in every situation so you do more damage to the enemy than have them do to you, right? So it's the opposite of the golden rule. So the battalion goal, react so you do more damage to them. The brigade goal is to react so that you're organizing around your objectives. You're reacting toward attacking the enemy center of gravity, and you're using your indirect support to disrupt theirs. So you always want to react in that direction. At the CIC, you don't have a lot of opportunity to react with power. You're really setting your whole command up to react with power. So you are really the setup master. You might have a couple ways you influence the battle, but really once the game starts, you've done your work. So you want to task organize, create plans that have concentrations beyond the first contact, and then define areas of operations so people can move around easily and can communicate better. We'll show you examples at all three levels. The commander's intent is the glue for all of this. As you communicate in order to, at every level, what you're doing is you're communicating each of your powerful moves to each other, because it's in the in order to that you're saying this is the power move. So you can say that tank group moves down that road. Well, that's a very simple tactical thing, but in order to block anyone from using that crossroad, that's the power move. Okay, so the commander's intent really points to the power move. Let's talk about an excellent example of CIC setting his team up to react with power. So as a reminder, we task organize, concentrate beyond the first move, and then create areas of operations. The two yellow circles were the first areas of concentration, and inside them, the CIC task organized his groups. The brigade and the recon element in the left-hand yellow circle were pulled together and said work together in a task organized way so you can actually move up there and take these objectives. The purple circle this is the second level of concentration. Everyone moves to yellow and then moves to purple. This defined and shaped the battlefield in a way that everyone could react. And finally, look at the beautiful overlay here. A to L on the bottom, 1 through 7 going off the side. Reverse order, so it would confuse the enemy if they happen to intercept the message. But it allowed everyone to communicate very well about where they were and what they were doing without talking about specifics that the enemy might completely understand if they were to overhear it. So this CIC set his team up beautifully to react with power through the game. So same team, same game. Here's an example. That brigade commander had spread out over quite a large area, and he was facing 3 sets of enemy, and his objective was to break through. So he kept that in mind. And the center of gravity was in the north, and that's where the enemy was also weakening, was in the north. So he saw this in one turn. So this wasn't a long drawn out plan. He saw this develop, and he ordered an attack across the whole front where the yellow circle is. He said, just attack to pin those forces in place. Where the purple circle is, he said, attack with force. Here's special orders to increase the attacking power. Here's artillery, etc. Because he knew that that's where the enemy center of gravity was. He used his indirect support, and he disrupted theirs. In fact, it was the game-winning move. Battalion commander, same game, same team, him reacting with power. He was part of the yellow group, which was to his west. He had units to his immediate north that were weakening. He saw that. His brigade commander had just said, keep the line, don't move forward. He came back and said, I'd like to push forward. I think they're weakening in order to break through. His brigade commander said, in the AAR, I hadn't even thought of doing that. He proposed it, it sounded good. I said, go ahead. In fact, he moved with vigor. He did more damage to the enemy than he took. He broke through, and it was instrumental in helping that team win that game. So that was another example of reaction with power. Was this a long, drawn-out planning process? Did this player say, umpire Lafondios, I'd like to go through all of your principles in your videos? No. He saw the opportunity, and he took it. And that's an example of reacting with power. So bringing all this together, it's not about thinking through your plans. It's not about a long, drawn-out process of going through principles and thinking about centers of gravity and OODA loops and all the rest. It's getting experience with these concepts enough that you see the patterns, and in that moment, you know how to react with power. You're using it at the level that's appropriate to your play. If you can react with power, you will become an excellent Kriegsspiel player. You will become a sought-after team member, and you'll have a heck of a lot of fun. Keep working on these ideas and increase your skills. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you out on the board. Thanks so much.